Hi again then guys, and so we've got another Special Projects replica tune for you today, and this time it's for a relatively obscure tuner car, which is of course the Nissan 300ZX, but this is the Nissan GTZ as tuned by Stillen. Now, as I said, this is a relatively obscure tuner car and quite an easy one to achieve a replica of on the game with fairly accurate visual and mechanical results. So, as always, I'll show you first of all what I've done to get the visual look of the car, then we'll go over to the garage for the mechanical setup, and finally out to the track to see how it drives. So as far as the visual modifications for the car, the Stillen GTZ does have quite an understated but noticeable body kit. Now the Type A body kit, which gives you these little extra winglets on the back and front bumper, is the most visually accurate to the real car. The Type B body kit is considerably different from the front end, plus the Stillen GTZ has quite a high side skirt profile, which the Type B really counteracts. So overall the Type A body kit is the best for that. I have not fitted the flat floor on this one. For the rear wing, we've got a custom wing, obviously, and we've gone for the Type A special wing, which is essentially the same style of wing as the Stillen GTZ, but isn't as large, unfortunately. As far as the rims, the GTZ has 3-spoke wheels, and the particular style of rim is a 3-spoke, obviously, and we've gone for... nope, past it. We've gone for the GTAB03 rims. I've gone for silver, but it doesn't matter which one because we're changing the colour anyway, of course. I have not fitted any additional meters on this one, although being a tuner car, obviously that's down to your personal preference. As far as the colour, this car is actually available in quite a few different colours, pretty much the same colours as the standard 300ZX, so just go for whatever colour you want really. But one of Stillen's more known visually, not necessarily a show car, but one of their better known models did feature this kind of reddish orange paint colour, and to represent that on the game I've gone for Hugger Orange, which actually comes from the Chevy Camaro, and I've also fitted that on the brake calipers as well. That's the same type of orange. And for the rims I've gone for matte black. Now of course you can go for regular black, but the real car does have kind of a matte finish on the rims. So that's it for the visual look of the car. Relatively simple setup. So now let's go over to the garage for the mechanical side of things. So of course this is a street based tune, so we've gone for sport soft tyres, and as far as the specs, I've actually gone from the quoted specs from a classic episode of Motor Week, which you can of course find online. So for suspension, we've got the ride height on 120 front and rear, because it's still a relatively high ride height for the 300ZX. Spring rate we've increased to 750 and 7, dampers and anti-roll to 4, camber on 1, neutral toe as always. For the gearbox we've got an auto setting of 180, and we've rounded off the individual gears to 3130, 2130, 1570, 1210, 980 and 820, with a final drive of 3.5. For the diff we've got the lowest initial torque, highest acceleration and lowest braking sensitivity. For the power we do have an oil change. Then you want your sports computer, the semi-race exhaust, because the actual GTZ has a twin exhaust setup rather than the quad system, and you want your intake tuning and a mid-range turbo, and then reduce the power down to 99.7% to bring us to the exact power of the real Stillen GTZ, which is 465 horsepower. Downforce we've got as high as possible, but that's really down to personal preference. I've not fitted any of the weight reduction options because this actually weighs more than the standard 300ZX. So we've put a 123 kilo ballast on this one, and we've put it 12% towards the rear of the car, and that brings us up to, again, the exact weight of the real model, which is 1633 kilos. So a very accurate mechanical replica of the car. So now let's finally go out to the track to see how it performs. Now, of course, as I said earlier on in the video, this is a street-based tune, and so is not really designed to be winning races or necessarily setting records. That said, it's certainly not a slow car. As far as the performance of the real model, well, the real Stillen GTZ does 0 to 60 in just under 5 seconds and has a top speed of about 170, so as with all of the cars when tuned on the game, they are faster than they are in real life. But the performance is not too far off in terms of especially driving feel what I think this car would be like if it were on the game. The handling is fairly loose because I wanted to keep it that way because it is at the end of the day a street vehicle. But it's very fun to drive, and it's, as I said, certainly not slow. It's capable of giving you very good lap times, especially on tracks with longer straights to use the power. And overall, it's a very nice car to drive. So for those of you guys who do choose to fit this relatively obscure tune to your 300ZX, I hope you find it helpful. I'd appreciate feedback on it if you do use it for racing as to whether you find it competitive. And that's it for this build. So I'll see you guys next time. And as always, thanks for watching.